All right, welcome everyone in Zimbabwe and beyond. And we hope that you're coming to be inspired today. Last week, we had a very exciting and successful launch. There were about 60 people that watched the video from all around the globe. And we are just excited to see you again. What we want to do today is talk to you about the Google Educator courses. And those Educator courses are a really great help to general development of the teacher in the classroom, especially now we've gone online. First of all, I just wanted to show you, many of you that have seen this video or seeing this video probably know, but if you don't, we have a great teacher platform in Zimbabwe. It's a GEG or GAG group, standing for Google Educator Group in Zimbabwe. And I just want to give you a brief view of what that looks like. So it's an email list server with a lot of people online. We've got 57 members online, and you read your little welcome message there, and you can join the group by sending a request, which we will then receive and will add you to the group. So there's all kind of messages on here about events that are happening, people that want to succeed at distance learning and want to use use different courses. I've posted a couple of times. People have asked questions about how to schedule an online test. So please be free to ask and post questions and let teachers help teachers. But that's not why we're here today. Today we're going to look at Google for Education. If you look at the Teacher Center with Google, and I'll post that link in the comments just now, and there's a whole range of tools where you can become more confident in the classroom. So this is what the classroom looks like. They do have a new site. Actually, let's look at it from the new site. It probably looks much better. And so learning never stops. And for whoever is joining us today or joining the Google group, there is different courses that you can do. So if you're really a beginner, they will take you to the very first step on how to use Google as a tool in the classroom. So all of these tips and tricks you can learn about. Google Classroom, a platform that many of us are familiar with now. We've got online, Google Docs, Google Forms, Google Slides. Expedition is a really exciting part of Google, and I really challenge you to go and have a look at that. And Jamboard coming up now, becoming more and more popular. And so if you want, and if you're excited about this, you can start different programs. So you can become a Google certified educator. And I just quickly want to show you through that curriculum. So when you join, you can just sign up with your name, and you can actually look through the educator curriculum, and you can work at your own pace. And so you create your Google account, or you use your current Gmail account to log on, and they take you through a curriculum. And let me just quickly, I don't know if I can show you that. I'll show you that at a later stage. Let's get back to our group of people that are here, that are either busy with the course or have completed the course already. Welcome, Chipo and Wade, part of our GEG Zimbabwe team, and we're so proud to have you today. Awesome.
Hi, Carola. Thank you.
So people kind of came to me and said, I want to learn more. I want to do some kind of computer course, and I directed her into the Google for Education certification courses. Chipo, give us a bit of a brief down of what you've learned, what you've experienced, and how you find the studying online.
Thank you so much, Carola. Good afternoon, everyone. I have really loved studying online with the Google Educator tutorial. I would really recommend it to anyone who would want to try it out because I feel that learning is regardless of whether you think you're quite experienced, with the Google tools, there's always something new to learn about. So my education with the Google Educator Training Center has been really mind-opening because I've learned more things that I know for my teaching life. And it's just bringing the classroom to be more fun and interesting for me. And I'm really starting the course that Carola me to. Thank you.
Sorry, Chipo, that's great. Fantastic to hear that from you. Would you have said that you were quite a technical person before you started these courses? Would you have called yourself a tech savvy?
Not at all. I think my technology would go as far as being able to have a lesson in the classroom, the normal projector, and just using the computer for the day-to-day things. But with this course, it has actually helped me to do more things that I've never been able to do before I was educated. Yes.
Please tell me about some of these things, because people are listening in and thinking, really, I'm teaching online, I'm doing the job, why should I do these courses?
Okay, so why someone should do these courses? Okay, I think it helps you to actually think beyond the textbook, because as teachers, our minds have been kind of like limited because we're always just thinking like what is said for us, but it helps you to think outside the box, and you're able to communicate with your class even in real time. There's just so many things. I can just give you just little examples. Like for the Google Groups, it helps you to discuss with your students, and that has been quite amazing. The Google Drawings, you're able to demonstrate your understanding about a subject. The students are able to give you feedback, okay? And then the Google Forms, you're able to collect data from the students, and it helps you just to be more efficient. It saves time as well. Because in the classroom, there's so much paperwork, and the interaction from this like clipboard, just right. My classroom at home, but now with the online class, it's just amazing. We've actually transitioned. Yes, and you've got the Google Class, which helps you to visualize data. Before you have all over the class. And with online Google education, you can actually visualize the work that you're teaching. I think this is a physical classroom which is turned into online.
Fantastic. Let's move over to Wade for a second. Wade, what have you learned?
So, in contrast to, hi everybody, welcome.
Wade is one of our team members. Well, welcome to this discussion, Wade.
Thank you, Carola. So, in quite contrast to Chipo's scenario, I come from a very technical background, being a technician. So upon moving into my role as in education, I sort of needed to close the gap between technical jargon.
Let's introduce you to these people. Wade is, what do I call you? Are you an education specialist? Are you?
Yes, you can say that.
At Solution Center in Harare. So he helps a lot of people with the Google tools like Google Classroom, etc., etc. So now people know your background. They probably understand a little bit better that you are one of these tech-savvy guys.
Yes, you could say that. But where the Google Educator course really helped me was to close the gap between technical jargon and being able to communicate with educators to understand where they come from. And it's amazing the amount of skills you pick up in just understanding how to communicate from educator to educator and from educator to the children in the class, or to understand the pain points that educators might feel or get during while using Google education tools or just EdTech in general.
Okay, so Wade, you're saying that you were the tech savvy guy, but you still benefited looking at education through Google's glasses doing these courses.
Definitely, I did benefit because I had a new understanding of what these tools are meant to do in the classroom. I didn't just want to go in and solve a problem and leave. I wanted to implement it. I wanted to see the benefits within the classroom, within the faculties, just to see growth in overall.
Cool. And so, Wade, from your perspective in Zimbabwe, how many schools are currently using Google tools in education?
So I'll put it at this. If we go with the private schools, there's about 90% are using Google tools in one way or another.
And so how many schools are we talking about? What's 90%?
You're looking at about 45 to 50 schools utilizing Google tools.
Using Google tools at any one stage during their school day. And so what my dream is that 45 people in 45 of these schools would start a training to become a Google educator, right? And so if we can help, even through the platform, to either sponsor some of these people to take these exams and become better teachers, they will then help their colleagues. As we've seen at Hellenic, Chipo got really excited once I got my level 2, C started level 1, and others to follow. And that's been absolutely brilliant. I am now logged into the a training center. So I just want to show to you what that looks like, right? So you would start with a fundamentals training on level 1. And so there's all kind of topics, getting ready to use technology in the classroom. So you see it's right from the beginning. If you have never used technology in your classroom, you can still do these courses. If you're already very well aware of what goes on in technology in the classroom, you can go through this course quicker. So let's have a look at a subdivision. So looking at this first unit, getting ready to use technology in the classroom, what kind of things are you going to bump into? What will you learn? How technology can benefit teaching and learning. Why and how technology can support the work that you're currently doing. How can you use technology to prepare for the future? What tools are available? Very important. There's so many tools that are freely available through the G Suite or education. And how to pick the tools. It's great to use technology, but not just for the sake of using technology. We need to use technology to grow our students and to actually help them in the learning process. Then if you think you know all this that's going to come, it comes in separate headings, as you can see on the side. You can go straight to a unit review. All right, this will take a little time to load, but the unit review will just tell you a few questions. Did you actually grasp what we're trying to teach you through this platform? So ready to test yourself. I got 8 out of 8 right. This was my actual test when I was taking my course. So you get all kind of little questions. Scenarios, which is really, we'll talk about that in a little bit now. At the end of this, you have a 3-hour exam, which is full of scenarios, and you have to answer certain questions and do certain tasks. So this is the way it kind of works for me. I went nicely through the whole syllabus, and then I felt really ready for the actual exam. Wade, what was your experience using this online teaching curriculum? Did you feel confident?
So with the online teaching curriculum, I felt it was really well put together. It's broken down into subsections that are very clear. And what's very good is that before you move on to a subsection, they actually ask you to complete the little questionnaire just to see if you really are ready to move on to the next subsection or on to the next chapter. And I feel, look, if you get a few questions wrong, you can always go back and revise the work before going forward, which is always good. There's no time limits on the coursework itself. It's all self-paced. You can do it at your time, and that's what I found was very beneficial. I mean, we all have day-to-day jobs and a lot of other things that require our time nowadays. So that was a very, very strong point for me from Google.
Cool. Chipo, can you comment on how you're finding this way of studying? Listening to a video, learning some words from online, then doing a questionnaire. How, as a teacher, have you enjoyed learning?
Okay, so as a teacher, this form of learning has been quite good. Like Wade has commented, it also helps you to be able to do other things. Like there were certain studies that I was also undertaking, and there are no time limits with this. It's not threatening. When you make a mistake, you can do it again. At first, I was like kind of nervous, thinking that, wow, okay, I'm supposed to be done in a certain time frame. So being a parent, a teacher, a lot of things in one, especially during this COVID, I found that this was not a threat to my job, to my family life. It was really good, but it was like enhancing my education. And that is what I was really hoping to do. I also wanted to make an impact on my students because I find that this whole turnaround to online learning came as a shock to everyone. And I wanted to be one of those teachers who was going to make a positive impact to my students.
That's fantastic to hear, Chipo. I think you've done a great job as I've been witness to some of your outworkings and some of your classes. So I just got a question online saying, what does it cost? So the actual training is for free. If you want to complete the exam, you pay $10 for exam number 1 and $25 for exam number 2. And I would say that's totally worth it. Okay. As Chipo is saying, Chipo's not just a mom and a full-time teacher. She's also studying on the side and doing a course on top of it. And she's just proved herself in a fantastic way. And that's really what it is. You can really take this along in little steps. There's 13 units to the level 1. And you could do that over 13 weeks quite easily. Maybe if you work a little bit on it during the weekend. And they've been really fun. I've really learned a lot going through this teacher's curriculum. Wade, do you remember what your biggest challenge was taking the curriculum?
So my biggest challenge was really just actually setting the time aside personally to set it as a goal, an achievable goal. So it just requires a bit of discipline on your part as the person doing the curriculum. Another challenge of mine was when I started doing the course, it was just as the new site was coming out. So it threw me into a bit of a confusion as to which is better. I want to do the course on that pretty new site, but then again, let me just carry on the old site. So a lot of that was thrown into the basket, but at the end of the day, it all worked out.
Chipo, what did you find most challenging while taking, I think you're on your way to doing a level 2 exam. Tell me about your experience throughout level 1 and the part of level 2, what you've had already. What were your biggest challenges? Was it with a certain app or was it with the learning in general? Or was it time, maybe?
All right. Thanks, Carola. For me, I had 2 challenges. The first challenge was the social isolation. I was so glued into it and I was so addicted because I really wanted to be moving from one stage to the next. And you know, when you've got a husband, you'll be like, hey, what is this new thing? What's happening to your life now? And each time I did each stage, I felt like, wow, I'm better than before. So I was excited to be moving on from one stage to the next. The next disadvantage or challenge that I faced was that I really wanted to go at a very quick pace. So if you don't know something, they'll bring you back a bit and say, no, go back and learn that basic thing. So for me, that was a challenge. I knew I couldn't go as fast as I wanted, but it was also helping me in a way because I knew that if I had some gaps within my foundations, I needed to learn them. So that was a challenge, but it was also an advantage for me as well. Yes.
Sure. I really want to tie in with that. When I did the courses, my biggest challenge was the new tools that I was learning. Okay, so level 1, Google Educator, they wanted to know a lot about a little about a lot of things, and not necessarily the great depth. But as soon as I was introduced to a Google site, I wanted to build one, right? So that took me extra time. And that's okay, because there's no time limit on when you have to complete those units. So it was fantastic just to go step by step and setting up some basic websites. I mean, I would never have dreamed of the fact that I would have built a website for my classes or for my school in any way. Just something I think it's mainly towards Chipo, as he's the teacher. Chipo, I was amazed at the pace that I could learn at and the way that this curriculum was presented. And so if we can do that as teachers, how can we use a similar kind of setup for our students? Because all of us three, are excited to be learning in this way. What do you think we can do for our students to be learning in a similar kind of way, at their own pace, but still reaching the end goal of reaching the level 1 certificate? Has it made you think like that?
So targeted towards the subject I'll be teaching, or just the level, the educator examinations?
Say that again. Sorry, I missed that.
I'm asking that for the students, when you're speaking, I was already seeing 2 scenarios, okay? As you were speaking, I was already visualizing 2 scenarios. The first scenario was for them to also take these educator courses. And then the second scenario that I was actually seeing was within my subject myself, that if I could also lay out my subject as organized as the Google Educator apps have been, and that course is so organized. And I was just thinking, if my students could have that kind of approach to my Shona subject, that they know that level 1, they're going to be learning maybe greetings, and then they have some little quizzes and tests like that, and then they move on to level 2. If you haven't grasped level 1, you go back. I think that'll be so amazing if I myself am able to set up something like that for my students, because the learning that I've been put through by this Google education has been amazing. And we can also train them as well. I don't think this must be limited to teachers only, because as the student, they also need to know more about these tools that they're exposed to. Yes, so that's how I actually visualize it as you were actually asking the question, Karela.
I get so excited when I hear Chipo talk. Not only is he a very vibrant person, but he's just in line with my thinking. I want to create a chemistry course where kids can go step by step right onto level 1, level 2, whether you call it AS, whether you call it A2. I don't really care. I would love to see that web kind of interface. And so that's really, really cool to hear from a teacher. Wade, is anything happening on a wider school kind of network, helping maybe possibly especially rural schools to manage in this time of online teaching?
So with the rural schools and a lot of the government schools at the moment, we've been hands off because they're very strict in their thinking and how they like to apply what's been they've been informed to do. However, us at Solution Center and myself, we try to be relevant as much as possible. We try to offer any help. I offer free trainings for anybody in terms of any ed tech issues they may have. So that's how we try to be out there with these rural or government schools at present.
Do you think this course is suitable for teachers that are in the rural areas?
Definitely, I do think it is, because it's you're not only sharing your knowledge with these teachers in the rural schools, but you can create little WhatsApp packets for those that don't always have internet. You can create your Google Drive, where you can have one person maybe hotspot in the rural areas and download the packet from Google Drive. So that's also one of the things that could be done.
So really, everybody that's on our group currently, 157 people that are on our group, they should all be taking these Google Educators to A, become better teachers, and to B, to integrate technology into their classrooms. So I'm really keen to see if we can find some sponsorship. And like Wade was saying, these 45 private schools. Can we get 45 level 1 educators by December? Wouldn't that be amazing? And spread that network and really grow what's happening in Zimbabwe. This is a question probably for Wade and for myself. Chipo is still awaiting taking her first test because he's almost there, but not quite. Wade, how did you prepare for a 3-hour exam knowing that you could not have any breaks?
So to be honest, my preparation was just to clear my mind, knowing that I will have 3 hours in front of my computer. I'm not allowed to leave the room. There's somebody on the other side. For those that have never taken the exam, it's done through a system called ProctorU, where there's actually a proctor or invigilator on the other side of the screen that scans your ID, scans your face to make sure your ID and your face match up. So that is quite intimidating if you've never done it before. So preparation is key in terms of just clear your mind, set about 30 minutes aside before the exam, not to go over any notes, but just to prepare your laptop, prepare your desktop, make sure you're ready, check your internet connection. You just want to be ready for anything that could go wrong.
But we really don't want anything to go wrong. And,
Yeah,
and I have found that the teacher center has actually been really good in terms of preparation. I found another couple of sites, blogs, checklists that you can just go through. But once you've completed that teacher center curriculum, really you can do this exam. The daunting thing for me was that you don't know what's coming. So you know that several questions are multiple choice, and other questions are more scenarios, but you don't know what that's looking like. And then I think one of the questionnaires that says that you have anywhere between 10 and 12 scenarios, and you don't know what that means, how long it is. Wade, how were you on time?
In terms of time, I think I completed the exam in 2 hours, 50 minutes, much longer than I thought I needed, just for the fact, like you mentioned, a lot of the scenarios you are not expecting. And because it's very hands-on, it's a live environment, you do not know if you've done the right thing, because there's nobody, unlike with the teacher center, there's nothing at the end of that scenario to tell you, okay, no, let's go back and redo it. You put your best forward, you move on to the next scenario, and you try and give it your best.
Cool. Wade, I'm sure you were blessed taking them in the Solution Center. For me, an added stress was, what is my Wi-Fi going to do? What if my Zessa suddenly falls? And I actually had one failure because of that. Google was amazing and sent me a voucher, and within, I think, 3 days, I could take the test again. So even if that happens, they are supportive of that. But maybe we should talk to one of our viewers right now and should ask Paul very kindly if we have any examinations happening. Can they do it at Solution Center? What do you think he would say to that? Oh, you're off. Wait a second. There you go.
I'm sure you'd welcome it with open arms. Paul is very driven in the education space and very passionate about it, as are all the Solution Center staff.
That's fantastic.
So anybody's welcome.
That's fantastic news, Paul. I will be picking up on that as we go along and preparing students. I'm just trying to see if there was anything else. Oh, yeah, what happens if we haven't failed the exam? Hey, wait, both of us have passed, but what happened? Do you know what happens when you fail the exam?
So if you fail the exam, according to my reading, just it gives you a brief rundown before you actually take the exam. You have 7 days to retake the exam, of which in that time Google is hoping you're going over the the points you failed. If you fail a second time, you then have 14 days till you can retake the exam. If you fail a third time, you then have 365 days until you can take the exam again. So hopefully nobody gets to that.
Yeah, so really a lot of people fail the exam. If you are gone through the through the teacher center, you really have a good chance of managing to pass that exam. And we are here to help you. All of us are very passionate about the course, which has really helped us understand lots of things about education. And I think that we will all be opening arms and situations like this where we can meet each other and help each other out to try and get you to pass that exam. And then the waiting starts. It takes a couple of days before you get your exam results, which is probably the most nerve-wracking thing. Waiting, like students that are taking their IGCSE or AS and A-level, whether or not they have passed. It's that agonizing wait. Anyway, for many of us, the good news comes, but there are about 30% of people who have to retake that again. So retake after 7 days, and then after 14 days, and then actually after a year, just to make sure that the quality of educators that become certified educators are actually up to standard. Okay. Chipo, is there anything you want to add to today's discussion that you think I've completely forgotten?
Well, I would just like to add that with the Google Educator tools, they can also work with other resources, okay? So that's actually what's really nice about it. Like you can use Kami, that's like a PDF editor. You can use Screencastify. You can use Mote Voice, like for a language like mine. Sometimes you can put in your voice and you can add a personal touch to it. So it doesn't really bog you down. It's actually quite open to working with other resources. Okay.
Absolute fantastic point, people. We call ourselves a Google Educator group. But be fair, between you and me, everybody Googles every day, right? We go online, we try and find answers to a mock exam, as some students try to do. Or we find the latest applications that we can use in a lesson. Everybody Googles all the time. Everybody does slide presentations. Wouldn't it be amazing to put these slide presentations in Google Slides so you can share them with all your students, even through a link if you don't have access to Google Classroom? Okay. However, Google Classroom is a free platform. So if your school has not got it, you can get them to apply for it. Wade, what is your last comment about today's discussion?
So my last comment about today's discussion is, even though, like you mentioned, I'm the tech savvy guy, a lot of the tools within the Google Educator program I had never even heard of before. So there's something for everybody to learn. No matter your skill level, there is something for everybody to learn doing these courses and actually going through and making sure you get certified.
That's also a fantastic point that I hadn't quite touched upon. I learned so much doing the Google Educate, and I thought I was okay with Google Slides, and I thought I knew my fair amount of Google Sheets, but I still learned things. And even going through these exams, I was like, oh, I can do that in my class. This is actually really useful information. Okay, so if you got excited and you want to go and see what this teacher training center is all about, and you want to become a Google educator, I want to hear from you. We as a GEG Zimbabwe want to help you get through these exams, and we want to support you in taking them. Okay, I'm going to approach every headmaster and headmistress that is represented on our group today. These 157 members come from ranges of school all around Zimbabwe. And I'm going to challenge the headmaster to sponsor at least one teacher to do these courses. So please let us know if you're one of those teachers that want to learn and want to continue learning with Google or without Google, but with Google, the opportunity is to do these certification courses. They're really good. They really help you to be a better teacher in the classroom. And so we would really like to hear from you, and we would say, go for it. For now, I think this is the end of our discussion, and we just give you a nice Zimbabwean goodbye. Until we see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.